Yo, how's it going, guys? This is Wild Bro Reactions. Come back with another reactional video. Now, today we're going to be taking a dive once more into the Warhammer 40k universe. This is the Imperium of Man, and you guys have been recommending this like crazy. So I really appreciate you guys recommending this stuff, and shout out to everyone who recommended this video. But before we actually get into it, I just want to quickly say I do apologize. I haven't been uploading quite a lot recently. I haven't actually followed a dream of mine. I'm still following it. It hasn't ended, but I've found a little bit more time now. But obviously the start is a bit chaotic, so I've got some more time. We're going to be doing some reactional videos. There are some new, I think maybe some new League ones. I think some new Warhammer and a few other bits and bobs. So that's enough waffle for me today, guys. Without further ado, this is the Imperium of Man, 16 minutes, dead on. Let's get straight into it. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hey everyone, just a quick note to say that our Patreon is now live, and at the time of this video, we've already smashed through our first 5 pledge goals. We've got a ton of new content coming, and more episodes every month, so if you'd like to vote on which spin-off gets made first and get some cool rewards for your trouble, be sure to check us out on Patreon. You'll find a link in the description.
I really hope just as that adds all the way through, I'm going to cry. Okay, here we go, Imperium of Man, let's do it.
In the grim darkness of the far future, the worlds of mankind stand on the precipice of destruction. Beset on all sides by predatory alien empires and threatened from within by heretics, mutants, traitors, and worse. Yet even in this dying galaxy, in a time when peace has been forgotten and every hope seems lost, there stands a great bulwark between humanity and that which would destroy it. It is a power of unimaginable scale, in command of inexhaustible armies that hold back the eldritch terrors that await beyond. It is a regime built on benevolence and cruelty, repression and stagnation, irrational superstition and bureaucratic corruption, a nation tempered in the fires of endless war. It is the 41st millennium, and rising from the light of ancient Terra stands boldly the great work of the Emperor, the Imperium of Man. It is commonly said that the Imperium presides over 1 million worlds, but the truth is far less simple. Every year its dominion waxes and wanes as new systems are colonized or conquered, and lost worlds are brought back into the fold, while elsewhere across the galaxy, planets are isolated and lost, taken by Xenos or brought to ruin by rebellion. The Imperium carries on only through the weight of its own immensity, ever expanding and ever declining. To think of it then as a single realm of defined borders and united territories is a fallacy. Against the enormity of the universe, even the Imperium is spread thinly, and its worlds might be separated by hundreds or even thousands of light years. Planets within the Imperium are separated as much by technology as distance. Even within a single system, one world might be home to advanced industries and enriched with great wealth brought about by interstellar trade, while another might exist in squalor, its medieval population worshipping imperial administrators as divine emissaries. This disparity is as much by design as by circumstance. There exists a great fear of technology that borders on superstition, and planetary governors might insist on restricting certain knowledge in order to keep their populations docile and subservient. The disparate and widespread nature of imperial holdings makes cataloging them completely unfeasible, although entire armies of administrative staff spend their lifetimes attempting to do so. Instead, the Imperium is divided into 5 administrative zones known as segmentum. The segmentums of the Imperium span the entire galaxy, with the only limits to the imperial domain imposed by the range of the Astronomicon, an immense psychic beacon projected by the Emperor of Mankind from within the Golden Throne. The beacon provides the means for the ancient families of the Navis Nobilite to plot a course through the otherwise incomprehensible dimension known as the Warp. This nightmarish realm is the primary method used by the Imperium for faster-than-light travel, and remains so vital that should the Emperor fail and the light of the Astronomicon be severed, then the Imperium would quickly collapse into chaos and darkness. The Emperor of Mankind remains the formal sovereign of the Imperium, although in the millennia since his body was shattered and entombed within the Golden Throne, the rule of mankind has fallen instead to the Council of the High Lords of Terra. Entrusted to interpret and enact the will of the Emperor, the High Lords carry out the day-to-day decisions necessary to govern the Imperium. Judgments of the High Council affect the lives of endless trillions, but the nature of the Imperium prohibits any centralized governance from being universally enforced. Instead, the Imperium makes use of countless organizations to keep the wheels of bureaucracy and war moving. Perhaps the largest of these is the Adeptus Administratum, teeming with countless scribes and petty officials. It administers the Imperium at every level, collecting tithes and taxes, performing censuses, and determining which threats to the Imperium must be dealt with, and by which of the Imperium's myriad of military forces, alongside 1,000 other chores and duties. The Administratum is a maze of subdivisions, departments, and offices, some conducting programs that are no longer needed, while others may have been abandoned entirely,
That's
its clerks doomed to perform a menial task that's purpose has been forgotten. On Mars dwells the headquarters of the Adeptus Mechanicus, an ancient priesthood of technicians and engineers responsible for the construction and maintenance of all Imperial technology and equipment. Granted a level of independence unequaled within the Imperium, the Mechanicum is viewed with suspicion by the rest of the Imperial administration. Their forge worlds operate without oversight, and their religion is viewed as almost heretical. Above all, the priesthood of Mars covet knowledge, and they guard their discoveries with jealousy. Binding the Imperium together through faith is the Adeptus Ministorum, the ecclesiastical hierarchy of the imperial cult, which spreads the universal worship of the God Emperor of mankind. Known commonly as the Ecclesiarchy, the organization wields considerable power, for it derives its authority from the common belief in the Emperor's divinity. Even by imperial standards, it is a complex and baffling hierarchy of priests, confessors, cardinals, and dozens of other ranks and titles. All across the Imperium, its agents guide the soul of mankind, purging heresy and inspiring true devotion. Of all the imperial organizations, however, the sanctioned psychers of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, the guardians of imperial law in the Adeptus Arbites, the royal guardsmen of the Adeptus Custodes, or even the vaunted killers of the Officio Assassinorum, no single institution holds greater power or instills more fear across the galaxy than the Imperial Inquisition. Inquisitors are charged with protecting the Imperium against the malevolent influences of the galaxy, whether they be the allure of alien philosophies or the machinations of the ruinous powers. Its members may pass through doors that would be closed to all others, and there are very few in the Imperium who can refuse to execute their orders without complaint or delay. The Inquisition operates outside of the control of even the High Lords of Terra, and answer only to the Emperor and themselves. While such organizations have wide-reaching authority, their direct involvement in the governance of individual planets and star systems is relatively uncommon. For as long as the imperial tithe is paid and obligations and responsibilities are met, the Imperium is content to allow various imperial commanders and planetary governors to rule their worlds, systems, or even sectors however they see fit. In this way, the Imperium resembles some manner of feudal confederacy, with a hierarchy of lords and vassals stretching from the lowliest page to the Emperor himself. Such a system, while effective at maintaining order and enforcing imperial authority, means that very few worlds are governed in the same manner, and mobilizing these discordant vassals and feudal lords is often taxing and slow. In a galaxy of carnage, it is by the will and strength of humanity's armies, rather than its bureaucrats, that has allowed the Imperium to endure for so long, while other powers have withered and failed. Mankind has always excelled in warfare, and the Imperium commands a vast array of powerful forces, rivaled by nothing else in the universe. The backbone of imperial strength is the Astra Militarum, also known as the Imperial Guard. Consisting of countless millions of trained men and women, often armed with nothing more than a lasgun, a bayonet, and their faith in the Emperor, Imperial Guardsmen can be found in nearly every garrison and battlefield. They are the first line of defense and the focal point of any crusade. While the Imperial Guard musters countless armies, certain worlds have won great acclaim across the Imperium for the quality of their soldiers and the heroics of their regiments, their deeds and commanders entering the Imperial pantheon of legends. It is the superhuman Adeptus Astartes who have come to symbolize the might of the Imperium, however.
Astartes.
Elite warriors gifted with immense strength, size, resilience, and intellect.
Space Marine!
These Space Marines have inherited the traditions of the Emperor himself, and are one of the few forces available to the Imperium that can rapidly respond to a developing threat. The Astartes are divided between roughly 1,000 chapters, each with their own storied history and proud traditions. Though few in number, a squad of Space Marines can turn the tide of battle, while an entire chapter can shift the balance of a war. In space, the Imperium calls upon the great war fleets of the Imperial Navy. The starships it operates are legion, ranging from single-man fighters and bombers to ancient battleships capable of terrible displays of destructive power. In addition to its armadas, the Navy also operates colossal space stations, great ports, and distant anchorages, always at the ready to deliver the forces of humanity to the next grand battle zone. The enemies of the Imperium are simply too many and too varied for any single organization to effectively combat, and there exist a great many specialized orders and detachments used in only the most specific or dire circumstances. The Grey Knights, the Death Watch, the Orders Militant of the Adepta Sororitas, the Skitarii Legions, and Collegia Titanica of Mars. The forces of the Imperium are as innumerable as their foes, and it is only through their ceaseless vigilance that the Imperium is sustained. In spite of its unlimited military potential, during extreme circumstances when the price of retaking a world is simply too high, or the risk of spreading mutation, disease, or heresy too great, the highest authorities in the Imperium can order exterminatus. Through orbital bombardment, virus bombs, cyclonic torpedoes, or other instruments of extermination, a planet's biosphere is completely destroyed, along with all life on it. This terrible order is rarely given, and only as a last resort. If the Imperium has ever known an age of peace, then it is an era long forgotten. It was in war that the Imperium was founded, and through war it has endured. In the 30th millennium, from the terrors of the Age of Strife, when anarchy, war, and destructive technological regression brought man to the edge of extinction, there arose the Emperor. He served as a guiding hand that brought man back from the brink, and ushered in a new golden age for all of humanity. Using his legions of Thunder Warriors, the ancient precursors of the Space Marines, global order was restored across Terra, and once again the planet became a hub of unceasing activity, production, and planning. Aligning himself with the tech priests of Mars, the Emperor and his legions set off across the galaxy in search of the Primarchs, 20 beings of extraordinary power crafted from the Emperor's own genetic material. Seized and hidden by the dark gods of chaos, over time each Primarch was found, and they joined the Emperor's Great Crusade as his most capable commanders, diplomats, and warriors. Thousands upon thousands of human worlds were liberated and united under the Imperium, but in this moment of triumph, as the Emperor worked in secret to bring about his greatest gift to mankind, the galaxy descended once more into chaos and war. War Master Horus, the favored son of the Emperor and greatest of his generals, was manipulated by the dark gods of chaos, and together with 9 of his brothers, split the Imperium in two. When the Horus Heresy finally came to an end after 9 years of civil war, the traitor legions had been beaten and Horus slain. But the effort had laid waste to much of the Imperium, and the Emperor, mortally wounded in his last great confrontation with Horus, was sealed inside the Golden Throne, now physically broken with only his immense psychic will remaining. In the millennia since, the dream of the Emperor has wilted and died. The promise of knowledge and understanding has been replaced by ignorance and fear. Endless war is now the purpose of the Imperium, and each century brings grave new threats and short-lived triumphs. Orc warbands spread unchecked across the stars. Tyrannid hive fleets circle the galaxy like predatory sharks, all while ancient and young races alike work to usurp the Imperium's position of superiority. Even the light of the Astronomicon has begun to flicker and fade. In the aftermath of Abaddon the Despoiler's 13th Black Crusade and the fall of the Cadian Gate, unprecedented warp storms now stretch across the galaxy, and the Imperium is once more split in two. Traitor legions and alien armies besiege countless worlds. Entire sectors have disappeared into the abyss, and few dare speculate what nameless horrors run rampant in the weakened and isolated corners of the galaxy. Worse still is the knowledge secretly reported to the High Lords of Terra that the mechanisms of the Golden Throne have begun to fail, and the knowledge necessary to repair them has been lost. Before being executed for their heresy, prophets across the galaxy say now is the time of ending, when the Imperium will finally collapse into a trembling collection of shattered realms before being swallowed up by the encroaching darkness. Yet rumors abound that legends thought lost to time have been reborn. There are whispers that hidden vaults on Mars have been unlocked, and powerful new soldiers and armaments are now fighting across the galaxy. If now is truly the time of ending, then the Imperium is not content to stand idly by. Across the worlds of the Imperium, new crusades have been proclaimed, great armies raised, and mighty battle fleets armed and sent forth against the enemy. For in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. The Templin Institute investigates alternate worlds.
Was that it? Okay, that was it. Alright, before we actually go into this, I gotta say, that's probably one of the first videos that we've actually watched that's not usual to what we do. Usually, obviously, we watch trailers and in-game cutscenes and stuff like that. Well, this is more of an explanation, but it was really fucking interesting. So I was kind of started like, crap, like this ain't what we normally do, but it was actually ended up being really, really good. So I quite like it. Now, there was so much to this, right? And basically, what it was is they were just explaining what the man was. I thought this was going to be like a trailer or something like that, but it's actually an explanation. So I just want to say it's actually really nice, and I quite like it. So obviously, it starts off talking about. I think he was talking about. I don't know if he's talking about the present. If he's talking about the present here, and because obviously she was narrating about the Imperial man, how it's falling and stuff. I think. Again, there was a lot being said, but. I mean, I'm not going to go into too much about what she said. Only specific parts that I can remember. We'll look at certain bits that seem quite relevant and quite interesting. But one thing I just want to firstly point out is their designs. Okay, now we've said this in the past before, but I'm going to say it again. Like, obviously, the Imperium of mankind. It's quite interesting. Obviously, it's very religious. It's strict. I mean, when she was going through all these different orders, you had Mars. You had all these different. You had engineers, which I think were the Mars one. You had all these different. You had obviously the Inquisitors, which is like the highest order. You have all these different fucking ones. And I don't even know how any of them got together. To be honest, that's an absolute freaking. That's going to cost an arm and leg for like 400 generations. Holy hell! But I really like the designs because it's quite biblical. It's the church style things, and then it's turned into a giant cannon. I don't know what it is. That's really eye appealing. Now I don't know who designed World of Warcraft. I know it was a board game, I think, before it became a game, but then it could be a magazine, it could be a book as well. I'm not too sure how it kind of originated, or it was kind of like it's kind of like a part of something else. But these people who created it, like it just never ends. Like, I don't know how to put it into context because there's too much, but it's like it never ends. There's just more and more and more and more and more, and there's just so much depth of story. It will just never end. I mean, you could go in 40 years down the line. I don't know. I think Warhammer's been way around for over 20, 30 years, I think, now. I have a relative who was playing it when he was in his teenage. He's coming up to 40 years of age. So I think it's been around for quite a long time. And it's when the board game was quite large. And it was actually large when I was in school. We had a specific point in a library in our school that actually used to play Warhammer. So it's like something that's always been there. And again, the story's so deep. And I think so is like the fan love for it. It's just so many layers of different stuff. And again, it's a story. It just never ends. You got the Imperium of Man. It's 16 minutes. Okay, which ain't a long time, but look how many flickers of cutscene. Look at this. That's 6 minutes. It feels like it's like 20, 30. It's just insane. I think that's just like a shortened version. I bet it's so much more. Obviously, it kind of explained the different orders and stuff. Now, the one thing I do find quite interesting is that obviously here they have the hoods, is like the monk style of robes, but they have like this electronic stuff in the heads. I mean, there was some which had a lot. Like, let's see if we can jump forward. We'll jump back. Like this is kind of like the first point. Okay, it's lagging a little bit. But like this, look. they got wires and I don't know if that's a specific part of like a realm of a planet that this is what these people look like. And obviously you go to here and he's a bit more like I'll call these like the Russian style things, you know, the big hats. It's not the bearskin hats. It's not the same thing, but or the ones we have in Britain. But you know what I'm trying to say. And look, it's just all these pipes and wires. It's just freaking weird, man. It's like it's quite ironic, really, because it's like science and technology sort of it kind of conflicts with the religious belief in a sense. I think if you go back to 1066 during the Crusades and the Great War of Man, like obviously go back 900 years, 1,000 years or whatever. Obviously, we bring, if we took the knowledge now, if we had like a teleporter, we'll get instantly killed for heresy like these guys do. So I really, really like the idea of how they sort of manipulate the sort of religious belief of man, literally expose it, like probably, maybe even like for what it is, or even more, like it way over exaggerates what it is, and it makes it work, and it's really good because obviously throughout history we all know that extreme religious beliefs never really go anywhere. They always cause death and destruction, which again it does in this as well, but it makes it so it's like the only way. It seems like this is how do I explain this, that this is that if they don't have this sort of thing, like the religious orders and the chaoticness, they will never be alive. And again, you could go back 900 years and that will be the same belief, but I actually feel like it will happen. It's brilliant. I love it. And again, look, there's all these robots and it's freaking weird, man. So again, I'm not going to jump too much into it because there was a lot said. So I'm actually really interested I'm actually quite happy that I've watched this, because as much as, again, I haven't really taken tons in, it's kind of made me learn a little bit more about the humanity side of Warhammer, because I've always been quite a huge fan of the chaos side of things. I obviously know the chaos are like the ultimate like bad or enemy of mankind ultimately, but I really, really like it because obviously the chaos is in you have the normal Warhammer, so you have the Emperor and that, but they're like the old-fashioned muskets and crossbows and cannons, where this is like the futuristic. Obviously, I know Warhammer 40k and the did I say World of Warcraft? Did I say World of Warcraft? I think I did I? Wonderful game, and then what is it? World of Warcraft? I've gone lost. Warhammer? Is it just Warhammer? No, there's something else in front. I'm pretty sure. Is it just Warhammer? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting a bit lost. But the normal Warhammer, obviously, is a bit different. Where the Warhammer 40k, they're very separate. And I think I have to be honest, Warhammer 40k probably takes the win if I had to pick between the two. But I like the idea. Look at this. This is nuts. This is just insane. So I don't know if the developers or the original creators of the Warhammer 40k, whether it's if there has been magazines or books or the games or whenever the 40k started to come into it, or it wasn't the designers or the developers, I guess you could say, kind of come up with this, and then the fans have kind of brought this in. They kind of go, okay, that was a good idea, let's add that in, and it's kind of listen to the fan. So I'm really interested, guys. The question I wanted to ask is this level of depth in the Warhammer 40k across all boards, whether it's humanity, chaos, the orcs, or even the other Warhammer as well, just in general, is the reason of the depth of story due to the fans or due to the directors, or is it due to both? Is it both combining, or is it just like the directors or developers, whatever you want to call them, or the makers, kind of already had this idea, or did it happen over time as it built along? I'm really interested to see how they're done, because again, I don't know too much about it. And then you've got these kind of normal ones. Like again, this just seems some technological advance and everybody, and then this is when the Inquisitors start coming in. Now this guy, I actually played this game, and we have actually got a trailer to this exact video, and I can't remember what it's called. Warhammer, I think it's called Warhammer 40k Inquisitor. I think that's what it's called. And it was actually quite an enjoyable game. I played about 3 or 4 hours of it. I quite liked it. It's not my particular game, but again, I always give it quite a lot. Give it a chance. And so obviously skip forwards, and then it turns into the army bit. So this is where it starts for me to get quite interesting, because it shows the different styles of humanity. So obviously, we've always seen the Space Marines, the Inquisitors, like the sort of big, the big sort of Spartans are called, and then the Spartans are like the Halo universe. And again, if you guys are more interested in Warhammer maybe than other people, you'll probably dive into this and notice a bit more than others. But I feel like these kind of get left out a little bit. So obviously you have like, this is the base sort of what are these called? Are these the guard? Is it the Imperium Guard or something like that? And then it kind of changes to different ones. So these are like the Russian style ones, and then there's like these are like the Russian style, and there's like different types. I really like the idea that they kind of remembered the sort of nationality to a certain extent, because obviously these could be Americans, this could be a mixture of the West, and this could be like everyone else. You know, you don't really know. And again, you feel like when you hear of the Imperium of Man, it just seems like one place. You know, it just feels like one religion, where it's really, really not. So I really like the idea that they mix in the sort of like reality with like fantasy, and it actually works. Like, it actually feels like it could actually happen. It's really, really, really well done. Obviously, it jumps into Space Marine, legendary. And then it kind of talks about the Emperor. I think, when does it talk about the Emperor? Which I kind of wanted to mention. I don't know if I've gone past it. Let me see if oh no, here it is. Here it is. So this part really, really got to me. Now, obviously the Emperor is seen like a god, isn't he? He's seen like a god, Emperor god, whatever you want, God of the universe, I don't know what title, but in that sort of reign of things. Now, it seems like in the present time of Warhammer, he is like the Jesus Christ of Christianity, and to me, actually, of all religions, because Jesus Christ is actually in virtually almost every single religion on the planet, almost. Okay? And it feels like he's a Jesus Christ, but it's more of a sort of, they're talking in the sense of that this was like thousands and thousands and thousands years ago, which it might not be. I don't know. You guys can let me know if when the Emperor was around and this was happening, was it thousands of years ago, millions of years ago? And again, it's during that Roman sort of time, wasn't it? Back when Jesus Christ, when the Roman Empire was at large and stuff. And then look, they have these like, because I think, what were these called? Stormtroopers. Were they Storm Marines?
All of humanity. Using his legions of Thunder Warriors.
Thunder Warriors. Sorry, Thunder's same thing. It's close enough. And obviously, they have quite, again, old-fashioned style of gear compared to what the Warhammers the Space Marines look like now. But they have, obviously, the sword, the single pistol. They always seem to have the big chainsaw sort of thing with the machine pistol. But the one thing I really like is this head thing. Now, these look like, obviously, the old Spartans with in Sparta during the Battle of Theopolis. Which obviously, if you watch 300 Spartans, that's not actually the way it went down. But the Battle of the Hot Gates, this was all true. All of it was real, but the film is maybe a bit exaggerating like most films. But no, it was actually, the actual stories is actually true. But that almost, the Roman centurions actually, I think, used to have that in the headbands as well. So again, it reinforces that sort of how we see Christ and, during the Roman Empire, thousands, I wouldn't say 1,000 years ago, but 2,000 years ago, actually. 2,000 years ago. What am I on? 2,000 years ago. I'm talking about the Crusades, which was like in the 11th century and stuff like that. No, 2,000 years ago. This is what we kind of see, and I quite like that. And again, you guys might think differently. You can let me know in the comments if you do think differently. But like, I see this as like how we saw the Roman Empire and the emperors like the Jesus Christ, and when he died or when he reigned, is like everything birthed to what we are now. Whether that's true or false, you guys can debate that amongst yourselves. But I really, really like that, and everything's just birthed, and it shows obviously the prosperity. I mean, look at these gold armor. It's all these different weird wings, and it's all nuts and stuff, and then all of a sudden it goes back to chaos, because ultimately this is what mankind does. I think it's absolutely insane. I think that's probably the last bit we're going to go. But guys, that was absolutely insane. I really, really enjoyed that. It's a bit different from what we normally do. And I'm actually quite grateful for you guys to recommend that. So thank you once again, and shout out to you guys who have recommended it. If there are any stuff like this, please let me know, because the narration is really, really cool as well. It's a bit like you can just sit back and relax and just listen and just learn, where before we have to kind of interpret it ourselves. You have to use quite a lot of brain power. If you feel like you just want to chill, learn some stuff about the Warhammer, especially obviously in terms of the Imperium of Man, maybe the history and stuff, this is perfect. I mean, this is really, really good. So again, a little bit different from what we do. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video as well. If you have, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and comment down below if you want to add anything, if you want to answer any questions. The guys are always grateful. And if you guys have any other recommendation for the Warhammer or any other sort of video like this, then please leave it down in the comments. We do read it. It's just a case of getting when, but we're finding a bit more time recently to go and do some, so I'll definitely squeeze in every job I can. So really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you for everyone who's recommending videos. We'll get to them as soon as we can. But that's it for me today, guys. This is Whiteboard Reaction. Sign off this video. Until next one, have a really good rest of your day. I'll see you later. Peace out. Take care, guys.